Welcome back to the Tide Your Aim Hanger. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the weekly news and review for October 18th, 2020. And this week, there's been a lot of announcements, a lot of new things coming out. But again, it's starting to feel like everything old is new again. We're going to talk about all of this coming up. So the first thing I want to talk about is Zeta putting out their Cybertron, their super clear version gift set of 6, and I'm curious about a lot of things. First of all, it's clear. It's $440, and it's more expensive than the other versions of Cybertron they put out. Now, I absolutely love my combined version of Zeta's first release Cybertron, and it's a good figure. I know that a lot of people like the clear, and there's a lot of people that absolutely cannot stand the clear stuff, but a lot of people do like it. This is probably going to be one of those short run, limited run, not going to be around very long kind of offerings. And it is kind of interesting to consider buying a clear version of this. I don't know, maybe the fact that they're clear makes the individual bot modes look less bad than they are. I mean, they're not horrible, they're not great, they're somewhere in the middle, but the clear version kind of makes it a little more fun. And of course, for those of you with that question, yes, you can get these at ShowZ. They're up for pre-order right now. And right alongside with their clear version, Zeta's offering up another metallic version of Cybertron and the swappable chest piece and all of that. Here's the thing, it looks good. And I don't really see much of a difference between this metallic version and the one I have on the shelf, is the first run version. And so it still looks good. Either way, any way around, this nice looking version of Cybertron. If you're not in on what's going to be now $850 or $900 to get a Fans Toys version. Zeta is making a lot of news this week. They are also putting out their, well, Toy World's cone heads. Not their cone heads, but they are their cone heads. Anyhow, they look good. I have this set of Toy World. And Zetas usually have a little bit more bling to them, a little shinier paint to them. So I don't know if that's going to carry over to this release, like they've done with all of their other releases of the Toy World items. But at the end of the day, it still looks good. It's still a good option that's out there, and it's out there now. It's not going to be out there in 2025 when Takara gets around to doing theirs with the new mold. So that's kind of cool too. Yeah, you can get these at ShowZ. And there's the alt modes to go with it. Looking pretty good. I will admit, they're probably not the best set that will ever be out there or ever be available. But for $75 a pop for the Seekers, not bad. For the Coneheads, not bad price at all. This is not news or even a rumor, but every time Zeta has something to say, something to announce, it's tied to an old Toy World release. So when are they going to come out with this? The Zeta version of Constructor. And a really shiny, bling-bling version, whatever. This not been announced, but it just seems like the natural progression is the thing, right? Like everything that was Toy World is now going to be Zeta. How long till they do an old Constructor? If they do that, what will happen to Toy World? What will Toy World make if Zeta starts making Constructor? So Flames Toys has put out some pictures of their Kurakari Curie IDW Megatron test shots and colored samples here. This thing looks pretty awesome. I don't know much about the IDW world in there, but I do know that some of these designs are really amazing. I do like what they've done with this. This one looks good. Now again, it's not posable, or it is posable. It's not transformable, but highly posable, highly detailed, and painted really well. And this is actually going to be a pretty big figure. It's going to tower over their Optimus Prime. And I think that Megatron does usually tower over Optimus Prime, but not this much. And they've got it with a different color scheme. I'm sure people more familiar with the source material would understand the different colorations of this. But anyway, it's kind of got a lime green and a gray look to it. So still really a cool looking figure all around. So Planet X has been showing some pictures of their Fall of Cybertron Shockwave. They call it the PX-22. And this thing looks pretty cool. It looks exactly like what I remember from the Fall of Cybertron era. I do like the colors of it. It's about $100, like $90 to $100 price range. And it does have an interesting alt mode, which is, again, exactly what I remember from that era. I think this will be a lot bigger than the original one, but it's still not a masterpiece. I think the Planet X's are more of Voyager, slightly bigger than Voyager scale. But I think the original one of this that came out was a deluxe that Hasbro made. Still pretty cool. I'm curious, though, about materials. It doesn't quite say if it's going to have plastic or plastic and die-cast. Kind of think it does have some die-cast in it for some reason, but I may be wrong. Still looks pretty cool. So I have been checking every day, and now they've updated the Amazon Japan. As you can see in this picture in the bottom right, you'll see ships from Amazon Japan, sold by Amazon Japan. You want that. You want it from them, not a third-party vendor. It's saying it's 21,361 yen, which is going to convert over to roughly $202. And then the shipping, usually when I pre-order this, the shipping somehow just kind of goes away, the fee, and it just charges me exactly what it says there. And I don't know if that's a pre-order thing. I don't know if that's going to work on this. I went through Show Z on it. I still think that I'm just going to roll with Show Z, and I'll watch this price to see how much cheaper it gets, because I can always cancel my pre-order there. But that's where we are. If you want to get in on this, get on this. Prices usually actually go up from here, not down, for pre-orders on Amazon Japan. Yes, it seems to be a light week, a drought of masterpiece stuff going on. But Legends, there's not much going on either, but there's a little bit. This Optimus Prime Metallic is a very important release in my opinion, and I just pre-ordered it myself. I decided I'm going to go ahead and get this one. I already have one. There are a couple of reasons. Number one, Magic Square has never been able to do a good job with painting anything. Aside from paint accents that are okay, painting an entire figure, it just never works out right. And this one looks extremely good. I'm hoping it looks as good as this picture when it's in hand. So I've got it. I'll probably get rid of my other one if this one looks as good as I think it will. But that's only part of it. The other part of it is if they can master painting well, they could really do a good job in the Masterpiece realm. See, that's what I feel was their problem with their Masterpiece Prime, is that it didn't get painted well. Even when they did paint it, it didn't get painted well. If they can fix that problem, and they can prove themselves with this release, I think we might see some more Masterpiece releases from Magic Square. So it feels like we've got a million reveals. It's really only like a dozen. But we're going to start with what I think is the worst of the reveals, and that's the reissues of the Titan Returns figures. Now, it's not that the Titan Returns figures are bad. It's not that I don't like them. I just don't think they're going to sell. For the simple fact that everybody that wanted them bought them, and they bought them for like $10. These were $10 figures. Now they're going to be charging $20, and because they have the special packaging, I guess they think it deserves $20. They're going to be slightly recolored to look more like the cartoon, so why did they not look more like the cartoon when they first came out? I don't know. But this Brainstorm was a Walgreens exclusive, so it kind of gets back to like, you chase down an exclusive for absolutely nothing. It's a waste of time, but I don't like that practice. I don't like the practice of exclusives at all, but I do understand it gets us more figures. But then you get the exclusive, but later on, every Walgreens exclusive seems to be biting us in the rear like it did with the twins. I do like Mindwipe. I mean, I think it's a great figure. It's not a bad figure. I like Titan Returns. But again, why are we rehashing this? You can still get these for pretty cheap on eBay, secondary market, so why are they making them again? A, I don't get that, and B, I don't think they're going to sell. I think this will be a big disappointment to Hasbro. And Chrome Dome recolored slightly to look more cartoon and G1. Okay, that's cool. Looks good. I'm happy with the one I've got. I don't plan on buying any of these, by the way. I don't need them in any way, shape, or form, and I don't really want to support them just continually reissuing all of their old stuff again. I thought we crossed into a new era of Transformers, but yet we didn't. And Hardhead, again, it's cool. I mean, I'm excited, but it doesn't look like they made any changes to any of these molds, just some coloring, and not that I even wanted them to make changes. I don't want these to come back. It doesn't make sense to me. I really want to know what you guys think about this, because I think it's terrible. What is good is what they're giving us here. So they've made a cup before, but they're not giving us the same old cup. They're giving us a new mold of the cup. Had they made those Headmasters in a new mold, or had they just put out the G1 like a G1 reissue, would have been better. But this is what I like to see. We're moving forward. We're getting a better figure, and they're not just going to reissue another old version of Cup. Now, I like the way this guy looks. It's very promising, and I'm thinking that some of the test shots that leaked out weren't as good as the production's going to be. I think it's going to be a really good figure. So the alt mode is spot on, and I get really excited when I look at this because I'm actually thinking, when is X-Transbot's going to put theirs out, and how good is it going to look? Because if the main line looks this good, like how good is the X-Transbot's going to look? So I'm kind of excited about that. Also, this is really a great looking figure. So now they're making a Blur, and overall the Blur is a good looking figure also. I like the proportions. I think he's better than what they made in the past. The one in the past wasn't bad, but I really didn't like the colors of the one that they made in the Titan Returns. So really fixing the colors was the biggest problem. But now that you see this new mold, you're like, well, this is even better. So I like it. Even in alt mode, it's better. The alt mode is spot on. You're looking at some really cool, awesome Studio Series stuff that they've got going on here. I like it. Here's a new Jazz. Now, they did a Power of the Primes Jazz. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago that it was keeping those pegs nice and warm. But this one will not keep the pegs warm. This one will sell because it looks so good. I am very impressed with it. I like what they've done here, and the alt mode is spot on perfect. Like, it's one of those things, like, how much better could a mainline release get than what they're doing right now? This looks good. When I saw this Grimlock, I said, holy crud. I almost fell out of my chair. I thought it looked that good. I was that impressed with the mainline release. Now, it is a $50 price point because this is going to be a leader. And then it comes with this little wheelie that's non-transformable, but looks really good. And that gets back to kind of that, this is an accessory figure, not an actual transformer. But they struggled with making wheelie look really good in BOD mode and alt mode. That thing doesn't stay together. This is kind of a good idea. I do like this. I mean, a lot of these things that they're putting out, a lot of these Studio Series, I think this is considered Studio Series also. A lot of what they're doing with this looks great. Just awesome. The alt mode looks good too. And they didn't try to change the head to make the head look different like they did with the Beast Wars and all that. And you can store his gun on his back. You can store Wheelie on his neck. And Wheelie comes with his slingshot. Just really a good release. They're going in the right direction. I wonder how long they're going to keep this up. And again, Scourge looks amazing. That's an excellent looking Scourge. I think at one point in time I had 3 different Scourges. I had a Classics, a Titanium, and what was the other one? Titan Returns one. And looking at all of them, I thought none of them really looked perfect. Some of them looked okay, but this thing looks spot on. Like, how much better could it get after this? That's outstanding. Looking right here, same thing. I think it looks great. Little bit gappy, but the overall aesthetic looks great. Yeah, it is kind of gappy. And I didn't check to see. I think this one is a Voyager. It needs to be a Voyager for the right size. But anyway, pretty good looking. Scorch can also say peekaboo. That one episode where he was flying around and talking as he was flying around, talking to Cyclonus or Galvatron or something. But you can do that with this figure. And we've got Hot Rod. Now, we've seen Hot Rod before, but I think that now we've got official pictures that show him in proper lighting and just showing him correctly. He looks pretty good. The best version of Hot Rod we've gotten, and he's got quite a few effects there with his guns, with blast effects. The blast effects also work in his tailpipes, or whatever, the side tailpipes. Then he also has his saw, he also has a matrix, and he has, I think that plugs into the matrix. It's kind of like a shining little, hey, I'm opening the matrix to become Rodimus. Does that mean we're getting a Rodimus? Alt mode looks great too. It's kind of one of those things though that does kind of frustrate me that this will be like the 4th Hot Rod that we've gotten for the mainline release in the last, well, over like the last decade. Maybe it's the 5th if you count Power of the Primes. So there's just so many different Hot Rod options out there, and yet this one finally nails it. What are we gonna do with all these other ones we've got? So as excited as I am about these releases and the Studio Series and the direction they're going with that, and then all of these figures, the downside of this is to get that thrust or this runabout, you're gonna have to go to Target. Of course, they instantly sell out online, before I even heard about it or even knew that it was a thing. I was watching the live stream late, I guess, so an hour later, and it's sold out. As soon as they told me, I was like, oh, let me go check. And of course it's sold out. Why would I even check? Why would I even bother checking it's sold out? So you're going to have to find them in the store, and that's what they say. If it's sold out, you're going to find it in the store. But it's frustrating that one figure to complete a team, these both complete a set, whether it's 2 figures or 3 figures or what would be 9 figures, it's still something that it's part of a set. So trying to chase it down at Target is not the funnest thing. And again, we got some in-hand shots of all of these. So these are the real figures out in the wild and not under perfect conditions getting pictures taken. Still look amazing. Just still look great. I like the way it looks all around. I could probably spend another hour talking about these, but yeah, they look good. And here's a little bit of action pose to these, and you can kind of see with Cup a little bit more of the kibble, so he's not perfect, with a little bit of a backpack, a little bit of overhang kibble on the back of the leg, so he's not perfect. We already saw the biggest problem with Blur with the forearms and all that, so at the end, still looks good though. I'm still excited for him. I still look forward to him, and I plan to review them all. So U.S. retailers are starting to get this Abominus in, and it's the Takara Tommy Mall exclusive. It's only going to be $200, which still is a lot of money to me for an old Combiner Wars figure, which is now Power of the Primes figure. But anyway, it's $200. You can get it at like the TF Source and the Chosen Primes and all of those places that will be carrying it. And it does have a bit of a better coloration than the first run. It looks more toon accurate. I do kind of like that. But I did just review a KO oversized version of this figure, which has its own issues. But it is bigger, and it only costs about $100. So I'm kind of happy with the one I got over this one. But if you're in on this for the color and having a box set and it being official, $200, it's up for pre-order. So transitioning into some Star Wars news, I do want to talk about Hasbro and their G.I. Joe. And then I was in a Think Geek in Oklahoma City, and they had this statue of Storm Shadow and Cobra Commander. I couldn't get it all in the picture too. There's another picture I'll show you of Snake Eyes. But this is proof that Hasbro actually knows what G.I. Joe should look like. And I've been a little bit disappointed in some of the designs with the classifieds, even though I am buying them and kind of keeping up with them for the most part. I refused to buy Storm Shadow because they weren't going to give it to us the way we want it. I'm convinced 100% we're going to see figures that look just like this in the future. It may be a year or two, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they will make them look like this. And again, the reason I think we're getting the highly stylized ones first is a cash grab, so that they can make money off of all of these first few waves that don't look like the originals, and then they start busting out with the ones that look exactly like the originals. And of course, we buy our 5th Destro and our 6th Cobra Commander and our 8th Snake Eyes or whatever. It's a good marketing ploy. It really works. But at the end of this whole thing, I look forward to a classics of this. I will be excited for it, and I'll be all over it. A classics classified. So I don't know if you remember all of the reissue figures that Hasbro is doing, or maybe you don't, but these figures here, I mean, I don't even know if they're reissue or not, but these figures were such a bad choice that the pre-orders are being discounted about 20% to where they're $11, which I still don't think they should be charging more than $10 for vintage collection figures anyway. But $11, they're marking them down when you cannot keep any of the other ones in stock. These, they have to clearance out just to, before they even pre-order. A pre-order clearance sale. I mean, it's crazy that they made such a bad decision on this. And they're trying to backpedal, I guess. But Walmart and Hasbro are basically admitting this was a bad choice. So the next unlock for the Razor Crest is going to be 4 carbonite pieces, which is actually really awesome. I love the fact that they're doing it. We all kind of thought it was going to happen anyway. They do have a whole built-in carbonite freezing chamber, so why wouldn't they do this? And I think that they're probably just planning on this being the last unlock. They don't plan on seeing it going much past 13,000. So it went from 8,000 you unlocked one thing, 10,000 you unlocked something else, the Baby Yoda And then at 13, so it jumps 3 more thousand, 13,000, you're going to unlock these carbonite pieces, which are really cool, which I actually foresaw them making carbonite pieces as soon as I saw it in the show. A stack of them standing there. I knew they had to be planned to be made into a toy somehow. So it's a big Star Wars reveal this week. Was going to be a Return of the Jedi carded Boba Fett, and this is a mock-up of the card. And the first thing I did was look over at my vintage one and say, that doesn't match. That doesn't look right. Like, Boba Fett's gun and hands are behind the whole figure and not up in the air like it's supposed to be. Like, it's all positioned wrong. It's really wonky, but it's still cool. I still like this card back. This is my favorite Boba Fett card back. I do like Return of the Jedi the most. That was when I was in it the most. And so I think it's a good idea to do this. But do it right. Let's get it right and fix it. But it's still cool. I like it. And I think that, of course, right now, anything Mandalorian is really hot. It's going to sell, especially Boba Fett. So our friends over at yakface.com, they are reporting on a rumor, and usually the rumors are right, so I'm talking about it. But there's supposed to be another diorama that's going to get revealed soon, like a playset diorama. But this one's going to be for the Black Series, so this is going to be for the 6-inch figures, the 1/12 scale, and that's kind of cool. I don't think that you get much for the Black Series. Basically, Black Series is a 99% figure-only line, and you get a handful of creatures and vehicles and things that interact other than just figures. So it would be kind of cool to see what they do, what comes out. I actually personally have no ideas what it's going to be, or really any concerns, because I mostly keep mine sealed, so still be kind of interesting just to see what comes out. And lastly, we've got more rumors from good old Yakface, but some of it's like rumors that already come true the next day. So when they post the rumors, the next day we found out about Boba Fett. Snaggletooth on a Vintage Collection card, the Child on a Vintage Collection. We know already we're going to get a Child on the Vintage Collection card, but it's probably going to have the older Pram, not the shinier Pram, or it will just be painted and not be that back metalized. We don't know exactly how that's going to look. And then Grief Karga. So let me know what you think about this week's weekly news and review. What all cool stuff is going on out there? Let me know. Like, subscribe. Titanium Hanger out.